to Mind and Money. My name is Val, a financial planner.
And I'm Sherry, a financial coach. And today we're talking about some weird or unusual things that we do that work for our ADHD brains, because sometimes you just got to lean into what works. So Val, what's at the top of your list?
A feeling that we're not capturing it all because, as we discussed, there's probably things that we do that we don't think are weird in our everyday lives. But if someone with a neurotypical brain observed us, they'd be like, what are you doing? One of the things that I do is pretty much from the moment I get out of bed is negotiate and make deals with myself. So you have to, drink a cup of water before you have a coffee. You have to do the chicken chores before you have your own breakfast. Like different little deals that I make with myself, kind of like a reward system, but it's just of daily chores. So habit hacking, if you will. That's one of the things that I think is kind of funky about me. Or if I have only so much time, then I have to be like, okay, I have to get this, and this done, and then the reward is a coffee.
You kind of hit on the habit stacking too, and it's like figuring out what things can be done at the exact same time. Because yes, we can't do 7 things at once, and very often when it comes to our brains needing to process things, we can't even do 2 things at once. So we need to caution ourselves there. But I have been recently, I'm trying to add meditation to first thing in the morning. I've traditionally done it after I work out, but I also recently purchased, impulse spending alert. Skip 15 seconds if you don't want to know this. I recently purchased the red light mask and the one for my neck too. And I want to do that. I did. I want to do that regularly, but it's you have to have no product on your face. So you have to have either just washed it, or I've also read too that it's okay to use it first thing in the morning because your products would have soaked in. You don't have to freshly wash it. So that clean face for me was a barrier. So I'm first thing in the morning after products are soaked in. So I'm getting up, I'm slapping it on, I'm doing a meditation for 10 minutes, and they both take 10 minutes. So it's been great to be able to do them both at the same time. I'm accomplishing 2 things that would normally take 20 minutes in half the time. So figuring out what are some things that you can do at the same time. I sometimes too pick my clothes out while I'm brushing my teeth, which may not necessarily make me more efficient, but it's just that stir crazy of standing for 2 minutes. And also, if you have ADHD, I highly recommend an electric toothbrush that times it for you. Otherwise, you could be brushing your teeth for 25 seconds.
Oh, yours times it for you.
Yeah.
Amazon?
Most electric toothbrushes do. I think I got mine off of Amazon, but you can get them at the drugstore and stuff like that too. So it's just figuring out how to take care of yourself too, I think is one of the... And knowing it's so low effort when the toothbrush does most of the work for you.
Yes, so that you can pick out your clothes. One of the things that we both share is strategic placement of things. So if something needs to go to my office in the basement, then it goes in the laundry hamper because the laundry hamper is going to go downstairs, or it goes right by where if I walk past, I will grab it. Because of my dogs, I can't put stuff on the floor where I'll trip over it. But I know that's one of your strategies, which is a really good strategy too, to be you will hurt yourself if you leave this here, so please pick it up. Strategic placement of things. If something needs to go out to a vehicle, it's by the front door. So just putting things where if I see it, the idea is that I'll remember it and take it with me.
Yep. And I've got a future post coming for this, but one of the where I've been just taking pictures of, I'm doing this because I know this is how my brain works. I wash the sheets, and even though they were outside drying, I put the empty basket at the base of the stairs up to our bedroom because I knew that would remind me that they were outside. And then once I brought them in, they just sat at the bottom of the stairs in the laundry basket, because if I took them upstairs, I would get upstairs at bedtime and be totally irritated with myself that the bed wasn't made. It's
I can just feel that.
Other things I've done is putting my medication on my iPad or somewhere close, so it's easily accessible. And I do have a plethora of timers for things as well, but sometimes we need that physical placement of things. So I have, as we speak right now, I have things that need to go back to my bathroom, in the hallway, outside of my office. I have laundry that needs to go in at the base of the stairs. That's going to remind me when I'm taking the stuff down from upstairs that oh yeah, these are things from downstairs that need to go in as well. So just thinking about like, how can you make the things that you need to do visual from a like location standpoint? So leaving things that are just an indicator to spark your brain and be like, oh, hey, I need to do this thing.
Part of that is having, to some degree, an organization system too, because then there's a home for the thing to go back to. Like, I found that has really helped me. When things have a home, then I want to like get it back to where it belongs. Then it's home. And then when I need it next time, it's where it's supposed to be. Handy.
Yeah.
Touching back on timers and reminders, I use timers a lot for like, okay, I have this much time before I have to go here. So what do I need to get done? Set the timer typically on the kitchen or on my Fitbit, and then go and power through it. So using it as like kind of like a work sprint, whether it's work, whether it's personal, like condensing that time, phone is down, and just getting it done.
Yep. I also love timers, and it's one of the reasons, I'm sure I've shared before, that I love my Apple Watch, because I've got the watch face on it that just like the timer's right there. And I use it for, I'm going to say, like positive and negative things as well. So it's not necessarily like positive and negative might not be the right way to put it, but if I put laundry in the wash, I will put a timer on. And if I need to be somewhere at a certain time, I'll often put a timer on too, to be like, okay, you need to do this, this, and this. But this morning, for example, is like a positive thing. I wanted to read a little bit of my book, but I didn't want to like lose hours in my book. So I set a timer to be like, this is like, I'm going to read a book for half an hour. And I did reset it. So I read for an hour, but like setting it so it's like got those boundaries around things. I'll do it for social media too. While I do have things on my phone that help me reduce my screen time, it can be enough too that it's just like, I want to do this thing for 10 minutes. I just need to hop on really quick. And 10 minutes on social media happens in about 2 seconds. So that timer, I'm quite often shocked when I'm doing something that's like typically a time suck at how quickly that timer goes off. Like 10 minutes, you blink and it's gone. So timers are huge, but I also have a lot of reminders as well for things like I have things that are monthly. I have things that are quarterly, daily. So taking medication, supplements, paying off my credit card, like managing the financial part of it, like doing my business transfers, reminders for all of the things, because anytime you tell yourself, I'm going to remember to do that, know that it is a fucking lie. You are not, the chances of you remembering are very slim. So stop depending on your brain and think about how you can put some type of solution in so you're not depending on your brain, because like it's just the nature of our brains, medicated, not medicated,
stuff to do. Yeah,
100%.
That just reminded me of I'll text myself and then I'll make sure it sits unread. That's something that I do, which my friends saw me do it the other day and they were just like, they thought it was so weird, but I was like,
not everybody texts themselves. It's like not everybody does. That's what
I know.
I will text myself links to links to things I want to remember or do or review. I will also email myself things if it's something that needs to be done from my computer. Not everybody does that. There's going to be so many things that we do that we don't realize are like weird or unique. And I think I should ask my hubby around like, hey, what are some things that you notice me doing that you just scratch your head at?
That would be, I bet Travis would notice when I weave in and out of doing chores. Like, I'll be doing the dishes, then I'll be like, oh, I should start the laundry. So I'll leave the dishes, go start the laundry, because it makes sense to start the laundry, because it's going to take longer, then I'll come back up. Like, I can just imagine that's probably one that he observes and goes, she do it.
And I catch myself doing that too. Like, I feel like I probably take 50 to 100% more steps that are necessary to do things. And it's funny, we have in our kitchen, we have an island in the middle of it. And there's times when it's like, I will like do a full circle of it before I'm like, oh, I just like did a full circle around the island when I really needed to just go from here to here. But instead I went the very long way around.
Getting steps in.
And I see some people recording time-lapse videos of themselves doing things. And Maybe I should do that and just really see like how much do I do when I'm like, getting my breakfast and coffee ready in the morning, I think is the biggest one where I feel a little spazzy.
Oh, that'd be interesting. I'm excited to see that. I should do it myself too. Um, One thing I put in here is brain dumps. I don't know if this is weird. I think it's very handy to me, but sometimes when literally my brain feels like it's full, I dump everything out. So I write it all out and then I kind of categorize from there of like what's the most important, what needs to get done. So just trying to stay on top of things and not let things slip through the cracks. It's still going to inevitably happen. We are human, which helps to the next point, which is booking the next session with clients when you're in the current session. So if we're in a meeting, book the next meeting. That's always, always, always handy.
Yes. And especially for me, most of the clients that I work with also have ADHD. So I know like there's a high likelihood that if we don't book that time right now, that it's like we're going to miss a session. We're going to be playing catch up, and that's not supportive of their long-term financial goals. So it gets in my calendar, it gets in their calendar right away, which is really good. And one thing that I used to is I know we are very different, my dear, when it comes to email management. I like to hit inbox 0 on my business email as regularly as possible. But one of the things that I do to achieve that is snoozing emails. So if I have an email in my inbox that it's something that needs action, but it doesn't need action today, I will snooze it until, and sometimes I snooze it multiple times. If it like, I'm like, oh, I'll do that next Monday, and next Monday me comes and we're still not going to do it, but it's still not urgent. It pops up as a reminder when I need to do the thing, but it also disappears now and frees up my brain space because that email isn't there. And knowing that, oh, I have 2 emails in my inbox, like, what do I need to do with them? Because they're there. Do I need to snooze them or do they need action today?
Yeah, I think that's a very handy thing to do. And yes, you're right. Our inboxes look very different, but that's a tough conversation for another day.
And one of the other things that we touched on before we pressed record was changing my expectations of myself. No, we know ourselves. We know what we're capable of. Well, we might not always know what we're capable of, but we know when we're setting ourselves up for failure in many cases. And I've talked before about the book, The 12-Week Year, is really great. The idea is you get as much done in 12 weeks as most people do in 12 months. And it's the system of these daily, weekly, and monthly things that you want to do that are going to help move you towards your goal faster. And a lot of it for me is tracking the daily habits and the weekly habits that helps me the most. But I notice after like 12 weeks, I rarely make it the 12 weeks because it loses its shiny dopamine. So what I often find myself doing is about 8 weeks, I just like abandon it. So I recently restarted and I've called it the 12-ish week year. And maybe me changing the expectation of myself, maybe that means I make it 12 weeks because I know I don't have to. I can cut myself some slack when it comes to that. So just giving yourself some grace and wiggle room when it comes to the things that you're wanting to do and adjusting as need be, because when we learn more about ourselves and how our brain works and what things are most likely to set us up for success, like that's good for us in the long run. And often that falls outside of the realm of, well, neurotypical people say we should do this, like the get up at 5 a.m., do all like it doesn't work for everyone. And leaning into finding what works for you is going to be key to unlocking all of those things that you want to achieve in your life. Okay, got a little deep there.
That was good. I was with you. That's it for me. Do you have anything else?
That's my list too. We didn't touch on like daily to-do lists, like being able
I do create
to
like an itinerary.
Yeah, and like when you sometimes when you look at your list of things you want to do this week, for example, it just becomes too overwhelming, and we can kick those things down the road until Friday, and then we can end up with an overwhelming amount of things. So being able to have that list of the things you want to accomplish this week, but then giving them specific, whether that's blocking time in your calendar or whether that's just, I'm going to do this on Wednesday, really helps me to stay focused. And sometimes I'm just like, one more thing on my list for Wednesday. So I'm just going to like power through even though I want to quit, because that satisfaction of list complete, which doesn't always happen, and that's 100% okay, but it's figuring out how to take those bigger things and chunk them down into smaller, like as small as possible steps.
And I would echo that. Thanks for listening.
It's been great to have you on the Mind and Money podcast, and we will see you next time.